So this weekend, the main event on the Las Vegas card, one of Showtime's last hurrah in boxing. The main event I'm going to talk about in this video is David Benavidez versus Demetrius Andrade, or Andrade, however we pronounce it. I always get mixed up with that name. So yeah, both guys, it's kind of a crossroads fight in a way, because you've got Benavidez, who's a guy that's been lauded as a serious threat to Canelo and all this. He's still a relatively young guy, 26 years old now. And he's yet to really fight the proper marquee names. His last fight was against Caleb Plant, which Caleb Plant's a good fighter, former world champion. Only lost to Canelo, so that was sort of his best win to date. Demetrius Andrade, he's been around forever, long time he's been around, 35 years old to the 26-year-old David Benavidez. And the problem that Andrade has had is that he hasn't been able to secure the fights with the marquee names. So he's never really, so far in his career, had that great dance partner to sort of make him better than what he is, or put him in that better position, however we wanna phrase it. He was very unlucky with Billy Joe Saunders. He was meant to fight him in America good few years back now, but Saunders had the fiasco with I think it was a nasal spray, some failed PD test, so he didn't get to face Saunders. He didn't get to face guys like Jacobs. He didn't, he's met all the marquee names. He's missed out on fights with him. Canelo, he didn't get that fight. He didn't get Triple G. So he's just one of those guys that we know is world class. We know he's very good. We know he's undefeated, but he's needed that dance partner, that marquee name, and unfortunately for him, he hasn't had that yet. But we still know he's world class. We still know he's undefeated. He's a tricky southpaw. He's got power. He's got pop in his punches. He's got fast hands. And he's running into a real obstacle on this weekend. So anyway, let's get into the fight itself. And for me personally, I'm thinking, in my view, I'm picking David Benavidez to win this fight. And that is mainly because I think that Andrade has got the skills to beat David Benavidez. He's undoubtedly got the skills. He's got the fast hands. He's got that southpaw slickness and awkwardness to the point where I believe that he's going to make it very, very awkward for David Benavidez. But where it kind of breaks down for Andrade is the engine. That's the one sort of weakness that I've seen from him that I think will sort of come back to bite him in this fight. And that's because Benavidez is a guy with very good stamina. He's a guy that is a volume puncher. He punches in bunches, and he just sort of stalks you all night long. And what I see happening is Demetrius Andrade having a very good start, having a fast start as usual, pinging David Benavidez, making Benavidez pay every time he misses, and just causing lots of complications for David Benavidez in the early going. That's what I think is going to happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if he hurts Benavidez or rocks him, or takes care of those early rounds nice and easy, because he's got a habit of doing that. That's how Demetrius Andrade always fights. He always goes in there and sort of starts like a bull in a china shop, just starts very fast, and he overwhelms his opponents with the speed. They don't see the shots coming, and back before you know it, they're on the floor. But then what usually happens is that he fades. So from after that early part of the fight, Andrade always tends to fade. And then, sometimes he gets the second wind, but by the time he gets the second win, it's championship rounds, and he's lost a lot of those other rounds. Against the people he's been fighting, he's been able to sort of get away with it. So even when he tires, he still wins those rounds, and he does so well in the beginning, tired in the sort of middle part of the fight, but he still wins rounds because he's vastly superior to these guys he's fighting. He's better, he's more skillful. quicker, and he's, he deals with them, and then sometimes second win, and then he goes on and has a good uh, last third of the fight. But I think against Benavidez, it's going to work against him. I think because Benavidez has got the stamina, what I see is a pattern where, okay, Andrade starts early, starts good, wins the early rounds, but then I see him, sort of slowing down, tiring, and then Benavidez kind of taking over, and then possibly hurting Demetrius Andrade, and then Andrade having to sort of rethink things, be in defensive mode, not really able to win those rounds where Benavidez is on top because he's obviously tired. And that's where I see Benavidez sort of taking over, not really because of skills or anything like that, or being necessarily better, but I just think with Benavidez being the sort of younger, fresher guy, and the guy with, I would argue, the better engine. He's not the greatest fighter, Benavidez, but he kind of, it just sort of keeps coming. He keeps coming after you, and he keeps throwing punches, and eventually, unless you're the very best of the best, it just exhausts you. Just the exhausted Caleb Plant as well, boxed so well in the beginning, but eventually this guy just coming after you. It reminds me a little bit of Antonio Margarito. The same, I'd say Benavidez probably looks a bit better, but in the same sense, that very tall guy, Mexican guy as well. And what they do, they just sort of stalk you and come after you, and they, by their presence being there, by him just sort of stalking you and just continuously walking you down round after round after round. And then with Benavidez, he can throw combinations in between that, walking you down. You're under so much pressure that unless you're the best of the best, you're gonna wilt, you're gonna melt, you're gonna concede, and you're not gonna be able to win the fight. And I think that's probably what's going to happen here. I'll admit I could be totally wrong, and I'd be happy for Andrade if he could turn that around, if he could, box in such a way where he doesn't sort of gas out, he doesn't sort of run out of energy reserves in that sort of after the early part of the fight. If he can sort of improve in terms of his stamina or how he manages the fight. If Andrade can sort of fight in bursts and make Benavidez miss, or make him hesitant to just keep walking him down. If Andrade can give Benavidez something to think about on the way in, and just sort of catch him on the way in, sort of conserve his energy. Don't go crazy in those early periods. Win the early rounds, of course, but don't go too crazy. Don't punch yourself out. Then he has a chance here, and I think he does have a legitimate chance, Andre. But I'm just going by his sort of recent form. It's always this thing of start very well, but then you tire, and then sometimes take silly shots, lose rounds you shouldn't lose. And I think for me, Andrade is the sorry. I'm saying Andrade. I mean to say Benavidez for me is the favorite in this fight. But as I said, Andrade can turn it around. I think he is capable, skill-wise, of winning this fight. But going by recent form, Benavidez is reliable. He's got the engine, and I just think he'll just have too much. And you never know. The strength of Benavidez could come into play. He could just be too strong, too big, too strong, too many punches, and that's where I sort of see him winning the fight. But let me know what you think about this. Do you have the same winner? As I say, I would have no problem being wrong on this. Maybe Andre does manage his energy well and outbox Benavidez, make him miss, and make Benavidez tired, for all we know, because Andrade will be one of the very best that Benavidez has fought, and he will be, I don't know how many southpaws Benavidez has fought, but he hasn't fought many. He definitely hasn't fought many southpaws, so that southpaw stance is going to cause him a problem, but I just see Benavidez winning. Let me know your thoughts. Until next time, it's MKO Pugilism, over and out. I'll catch you on the next video.